We are in Shmuel Aleph, chapter 8. Your question is, how could Shmuel build an altar if we already had an altar in Shiloh? Yes? That's what you're asking?
Yeah.
So until the temple was established, you could, until that was done, you could have a private bama outside, a private altar outside. You could have that. Once the temple was established, then all private bamas were taken out of existence.
Would that just be a judge or a navi, or could anybody do that?
Anybody.
Ah.
A lot of people had bamas, like we have barbecues. So a lot of people had bamas in the backyard, or whatever, their land. And they would be able to offer up certain, not all sacrifices, certain sacrifices you could do at home. You know, you didn't have to go. The temple was, let's face it, Shiloh temple, wherever you want to go, is not exactly, going to shul. You have to leave your home. You have to leave the farm, whatever you're doing. You have to go for days to travel out there, and it's hard. So you're not going to want to go there for every Thanksgiving offering, for example.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to be able to do something at home. So that was done until a certain time, namely when I'm pretty sure it was with the building of the first temple, that all that ended. But until then, it was the Mishkan operational? Wasn't it operational? Again, where am I living? And so on and so forth. When can I build a bama? When can't I build? When am I not able to build a bama? So all these questions came into being. If the judge or the navi, depending on which time period we're talking about, if they would do it like you have the case of Eliyahu, who built the altar when he was challenging the prophets of Baal. So there the temple was built. So how could it be that he would offer sacrifice outside? It's what we call Harasha'ah, a ruling for that moment, which a prophet does have the ability to do. So that's how he could get away with it. That's one of the famous questions. We're on chapter 8, verse 1. Vayhi, and it was, Kasher Zaken Shmuel, when Shmuel got old, V'yasem epanav shoftim Yisrael, and he appointed his sons as judges of Israel. And so what we have here is, first of all, it's interesting that he's appointing his sons as judges of Israel instead of the king appointing them, or instead of God appointing them. Until now, God's been putting everybody into place, seemingly. So now he's deciding, okay, I'm going to put my sons, they're going to take over from what I do. The other question now, the Malbim is asking, why do we have to say when he was old? What does that mean? So what is old? So, what's the point? And he says, "V'lo yechol vov ba'ara Yisrael." He no longer could go around remember, he was a circuit judge. He was acting as a circuit judge, going around to all the different places in Israel. So now what he does is he no longer do that. He doesn't. I guess he's not capable anymore. That's what it seems to be saying. So he appoints his sons as judges. So that in order that they can walk around, or each one can go in his portion from the land to do justice.
I have a question that comes
Yes.
in. We were just reading in Yisrael how Moshe Rabbeinu appointed all the various levels underneath him. So what happened to all these other? There's got to be a lot more judges all down the line, but we're only getting apparently the main stream here, so to speak, as we go through this. There's got to be. I mean, Shmuel couldn't. The whole country.
Your question is better than the answer I'm about to give you. Okay, so the answer I'm about to give you is like this. When it comes to what Moshe Rabbeinu did by appointing judges, the hundreds of whatever, the 50s and so on and so forth that we learned, So that would be that you still have to go to their court. Okay, what Shmuel is doing, the uniqueness of Shmuel and what he's teaching his sons to do is don't be like them that wait in the court for somebody to come. Rather, go out to the people. So, again, that was his uniqueness. Were there courts always set up? Yeah. Again, all I have to do is you guys, I, and one of the two boys could make a court right now, right? We can make the court. Both of you couldn't be on the same court because you're brothers. So, but we could make that court and we could adjudicate the case, which is what we do. Think about it. Erev Rosh Hashanah. We have three people together. We hear everybody say, "Forgive." I want to know all the vows I made. We say, "Mutalach." Good, it's done. Okay. What gives us the right to do that? We're not a court by court standards, you know. But what happened? What?
Not ordained by any court, school.
We didn't go to school for court. We didn't go to school for courts, okay? So, we have three Jews and we go together. So, that's what would be going on. So, if I'm educated as to what's going on, tremendous. So, let's assume that I have three people educated. Still, what gives us the authority to do that? Well, the Torah does. The Torah gives us that authority and we do it. But and now whenever I want to get a Beit Din together, now normally if I want to get a Beit Din together, the Beit Din doesn't come to me, I go to the Beit Din. Right?
Yeah.
So here again, what Shmuel was doing, the uniqueness of Shmuel, was he would be that circuit judge to go around and adjudicate for everybody. So I'm sure that there were courts set up, but what happens when they don't know how to judge? They have to wait for the other guy.
So he's
even with Moshe, by the way. Don't forget, it said if they can't judge, they should go up and ultimately to you.
So Shmuel's at a higher level, where in other cases people would have been going to him, but he's going around to make it little too.
Right. So he's a good CEO.
Yeah.
He's a good CEO. He wants everybody to be happy. I'm going to go. I mean, think about it. With your son-in-law. He goes around to everybody else, I guess. Not with the computer age, maybe he doesn't have to go around. But he used to go to all his nursing homes. He used to. And, I think he used to go hit every nursing home up. And then to see what's going on, to make sure.
Every so often,
He doesn't have to be there all day. That's what he hires other people for. But that would be an example of how I'm doing it. I appoint you, and now I have to check on you. You know what this happens to? I remember when I was in Kashrut. So here I'll be a mashgiach at a plant, and lo and behold, the head of the organization would show up every once in a while. Mm-hmm. He would talk to the boss. He would talk to me. He would make sure everything. He would look around while he's talking. He's looking. He's checking everything out. So again, that would be the same thing that Shmuel is doing. I think that's how you have to answer that, because otherwise you're saying that the system fell apart.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem that the system fell apart. Vayihi Shem beno habachor Yoel. So Shmuel's firstborn son was Yoel, V'shem Mishnehu, and the name of his second one was Aviyah. So you have Yoel and Aviyah. Shoftim Be'er Shava, and they were judges in Be'er Shava. Now, wait a second. We have a problem here. Where were they judges?
What?
In one city. In a single city.
In a single city, Be'er Shava, where they lived. But didn't you just tell me didn't the Malvin just say that they were supposed to go all around? So why does it say? They should have just stopped. They were Shoftim. By the way, another strange word is V'shem Mishnehu. And the same name, we should have said his other son. Why does it say Mishne? It's like his extra one. Or the second in control. That's Mishnehu. That's normally what that means. It doesn't necessarily mean a second son. So that would be just an interesting question on language. Why he decided to say Mishnehu. Okay. Does anybody Mishnehu? All he says is Sheni Lo, the second to him. Oh, see, Mutuz Zion is actually picking on that. He says Sheni Lo is second to him. Well, the second to who is? The second to Aviyah. Yoel. Is Aviyah second? Is Aviyah second to Yoel, or is the second son of Shmuel? And that's how we're looking at that.
I
So,
would think it would be more like a second to Yoel. So that would seem like.
so the Yo would be in charge because he's the
Apparently,
oldest.
apparently,
Okay, could be. Either way, fine. Does he say anything here? No. Okay. So, Malbim explains, Shoftim Be'er Rosh Limor. So he wants to say, because it says, Be'er Shava, we learn from that, Shalo die. Not only did they not follow the ways of their fathers, to go around in the cities of Israel to judge them, rather they stayed in Be'er Shava, Biksei, Eretz Yisrael, which was in the extremities of Eretz Yisrael. V'ilu yashav echad bedin v'ilu yashav echad bedan v'echad v'yashav. Now let's say that the sons would have split up, and one would have stayed in Beersheva, and one would have stayed in Dan. Two extremes. Okay, so then Loya Toreach Rav, then to go to one of the courts would not have been such a tircha, would not have been such a torture to people. But apparently they liked each other's company. They didn't want to split up like you two. You like to sit together, okay, study together. So did that woke you up? Okay. So that there you go. So they stayed together in Beersheva, Latriach, and causing trouble to Israel. Those are people to come to them. And I hear now. Listen to this. What they do. According to the Malbim, laharbot sechar lechazneim sofreim, and to increase they were great for the economy. They increased the amount of money for their chazanim. In other words, the people who would be the leaders of the community, who were the sofrim, who were writing out the contracts. Everything else because you're coming to them, right? If you want to build up business in your city, what do? You make everybody come to you. The interesting thing they used to say about Bangor, Maine, was Bangor, Maine is centrally located for the northern part of Maine. So you have Portland, which was for the southern, and then you have Bangor for the northern. It's interesting that the capital, Augusta, wasn't really central. You had to go through it, but it wasn't really a major magnet for the area. Portland is, and Bangor still, business-wise, is. So while Bangor would only have maybe 100,000 people, if that many, I don't even know if that many, but we were the service area for 300,000. That's what I think that's what the numbers that they use. Portland had a nice sized city, but they were for the other parts. So those are the two magnet cities. So if you want to be successful in business, you're not going to open up in the Old Orchard. Old Orchard is Maine. So you're not going to open up in the Old Orchard. You're going to open up if you want people to come to you, in Portland. Or if I want people to come to me again, where am I going to put the mall? Am I going to put the mall in Fort Kent, which is right by the border of United States and Canada? Or am I going to put it to Bangor? I'm going to put it in Bangor because that's the service area. Everybody's coming to me. So it makes sense to do that. So the sons, they were at the borders. Yeah. They were in the... what's the border here? Give me a border here. What border town?
Border town from what?
From us to Michigan.
Niles.
Niles. It would be like us having...
That's Michigan's border town, but yeah.
Yeah.
Technically South Bend is border town, I guess.
We're in the border?
Well, we're close. Between us and Niles, there's nothing else, I don't think. South Bend and Niles, I don't think there's...
Okay, so if that's... Whatever the case is. Okay, that's... Whatever the border town here would be where I'm just on the other side. So that would feed the whole area for this town. Well, that's a pain in the neck. Why should I go to that extreme when I could? Let's choose, by the way, a border from even one of our borders. I have a border. I can go to the center of town. What's centrally located is the center of town. You're going to make me go to the other side? It's the craziest thing. Why do you bother me? By the way, that's why when the Jewish community moved to the south side, even though HSC was still down, where's it called? That's the north side, I guess?
By the ballpark.
By the ballpark, that's the north side or the west side?
That's the other, that was,
It's the same place. It's the same area, wherever the ballpark is. If that's the
close
west,
to
the north, I
downtown,
forget
close
what it
to
is.
downtown.
Right, close to downtown. Once the community moved away,
Yeah.
it no longer was centrally located.
Yeah.
If I'm driving, it doesn't really matter. But actually, it does matter. If I'm driving, it still matters. Because when I'm driving, why should I drive 10 minutes when I could drive 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Right? So that's why you moved that's why they moved the shul to where they were so many years ago, to this part of town, because it was crazy to keep going back to that part. I'm no longer there. So that's what he's saying. He increased. First of all, they made everybody come to Beersheba instead of going around. They no longer struck a judge. So, and then on top of that, the boom of that was that their town, Beersheba, which was the extremity town, one of the extremity towns, the border towns, was making money because everybody has to come to you. So if everybody's come to me, I become the service city. So it was good for that. Now, again, for you and I, you would think that's great. If we could get our planes from South Bend to be a one flight from here to New York, from here to Israel, from here to Boston, from here to wherever you want to go. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
That would be fantastic. You don't fly. I'm telling you, that would be great. That would be great. When you start flying, you'll realize what you hate is connecting flights. Connecting flights are the bane of people's existence. You know why? Because you have to leave 2 hours before. So now I have to, let's say I have a 6 o'clock plane. I have to be 7 o'clock plane. I have to leave. I have to be at the airport. Now this airport you can get to an hour before, fine. But normally 2 hours before. So that means I have to leave my house at 4 o'clock in the morning to get there at whatever time, to check in, to get the bags in, fine. Then assume the plane's not delayed. Just let's have fun with that. Okay? You get on the plane at 7 o'clock, and then you have to fly to Chicago to get anywhere in the world. From Chicago, you can go anywhere. I don't think there's. You can go to Israel. You may have to do one connecting flight there, but I'm not sure if there's even connecting after that. But they have to land
used to have.
They may have to land to fill the tank. That they may have to do. But what the point is, you can get from a major city. I can go anywhere. Okay, Chicago, Boston, New York, anywhere in the world. I can't do that from Newark. Right, Newark. No, not work. No, it's Newark. They skipped the W. Huh? Newark. Whatever you want. They skipped the W.
Newark, New Jersey.
Right. You can't get anywhere from there. You have to go to JFK or LaGuardia.
Oh, they
JFK
do have,
or LaGuardia.
you can get to Israel.
From Newark? No.
Yeah, they have a flight. They have 2 flights in there.
From Newark, really? Okay,
United.
fine. So there you go. So if that's how they're doing it these
So
days.
South Bend. So Simon was complaining about that.
Okay.
And South
So
Bend
good. The point is, if we could if I didn't have to make that connecting flight, that would be great. You would make this. People would want to move here. The same reason they want to move to Chicago, the other big cities, is because you can go someplace from here without having to do a puddle jumper to the big city. Okay? You remember that? They used to call it puddle jumpers.
Yeah.
Because it's a short trip, so a puddle jumper. But that's what he did. So now look what the Torah, this is what it says here. V'lahalchu banav b'drachav. So it says in the pasuk, his sons did not go follow his ways. Vayitu acharei habatza, and they went after profit. Okay, now here again, I said they're building up their economy. They're not getting a dime from this. They're giving it to the chazanim. They're giving it to their scribes. All the court officers. They're not making money. The town is making money. No argument there. But the pasuk says no. They went after profit. Vayikchu shochad, and they took bribes. Vayatu mishpat, and they corrupted justice. All because, again, just from what they're doing. So what is it? Well, how's the Malbim handle this? And so they, again, they didn't follow their father's way by not going around, because as he went, unlike him, who went around, they did not go around. And afterwards, they went after the prophet, to give their people in their town of Beersheba more money. The Hatil Mal al the Hatil Mele al Balibatim, Ushol Chalkam Bevim, where they would have to deal with the people in the town to ask for their portions. Kedivrei. Here it is. Chachmei Zichron Levracha, like our rabbi say. Yeah, and then they took the shochad. Then they went after, they took bribery. That's when they corrupted justice. Ki avera gareret avera. It's because one sin leads you to another sin. And our rabbis say, Shalohatu v'kabal shochad. They did not sin by accepting bribery. Rak al yedei shenatu achareha batza mali aleihem ki'ilu lachu shochad. But our rabbis say, you know what? They never really took a bribe. What happened was because they were going for the prophet to keep the money in town. The pasuk considers it, or the writer, the author considers it as if they were taking bribery. Okay, so you have the question: did they actually accept bribes? And as we say, avera, that one sin leads us to relatives, and so they didn't follow their father's way. They brought the money into town. Well, can you imagine what would happen if they start to say, you see the pressure? You know what? We should be like Dad. We should really start going around. People would say, what are you, crazy? If you go around, that means that people won't come here. If they don't come here, we're going to lose money. You can't do that. So they would say, okay, we'll pay you to stay home. We'll pay you to stay home. So that can be considered a bribe. And once they're doing that, so then the justice can be corrupted too. It could be that. It could be a lot of different things. Because what does it mean they took bribes? If they took bribes, obviously they're going to corrupt justice. How do we know that? Because it says in this week's parsha that if you take a bribe, it's going to corrupt justice. Because if you give me money, I'm going to judge your way. Simple as that. It's not really. It's not.
Even though it's not the person who's giving over the gift, as it were, the money, not specifying this is a bribe, I expect you, but it's kind of a wink if you accept a gift, you may be inclined to,
Correct.
I better satisfy him.
The answer is, I would say, it's not even that. It could be as simple as my car breaks down and you don't know who I am. And you fix my car. Oh, you know who I am. And so you stop and you fix my car. And so now what happens? Now you ask me, Rabbi, the chicken fell into the pot with milk. Okay. I'm going to bend over backwards just because you did a favor for me.
You feel inclined that
I'm going to try to help you out. As compared to if this guy who passed me by while I was stuck on the road and said, "Hi, bye." Would you do that? Chas v'shalom, okay. But if he did that and he came to me, Rabbi, my chicken fell in the same case, apostle, leave me alone. Go away. I'm not even interested in listening to you. I don't. That's revenge on the other side. But you understand? So it could be that's the sort of bribery. So bribery doesn't have to say wink, wink, nod, nod, whatever.
Okay.
It could just be that you did something good for me.
You kind of feel obligated.
I feel obligated to you. That, by the way, that's why, I'm going all over the board here, but that's why when we say on Pesach, if not for Hashem taking us out of Egypt, we would still be meshubad to the Egyptians. Which means, and everybody translates, we would still be slaves in Egypt. That's a bad translation. It's not meshubad. The definition of meshubad is not only enslaved with shackles, but it's also I owe you a debt of gratitude. So they say we would owe them. The point is, if God did not take us out of Egypt, would we still be slaves, indentured slaves? The answer is no, of course not. We would have got, that would have ended like most slaveries do. But we still would be meshubad to them. We still owe them a debt of gratitude, just like we do America. And by the way, just like we did Germany and every other country that took us in. Yeah.
I mean, even today, after we left Egypt, we still owe them a bit of gratitude because we got to marry in
At least a certain generation.
after a certain year.
Right. So today we don't owe Egypt anything.
No, right.
Because Egypt isn't the same Egypt.
No, right.
But if Egypt would be the same Egypt, yes.
The mystery Egyptian.
Yep. No, that's right. That's exactly why.
That's
Right.
Even after we were not Meshuggah to them, we still owe them something, even though we're not Meshuggah.
Correct. We still have that feeling of gratitude.
It's all the more so.
Right. But I'm just saying there, as you said, today we're no longer Meshubah because who are we Meshubah to?
Mystery. Or no, the
Rabban Shalom.
oh no, after
God.
After the,
Only God. God's the only one we're Meshubah to. So as a result of that, we never got rid of that Meshubadness, if you will. Okay, that's how you put English to Hebrew, Meshubadness. We never got rid of that debt of gratitude, and we still owe God everything. So it doesn't mean that we don't. Like I said, we owe America a debt of gratitude, and that they took us in. To an extent, we owe Germany, and even though they killed us, the German culture took us in for a lot, and the French culture took us in at that time. The Chinese culture via Shanghai took us in. All these countries that allowed us to come, even Russia, took us in. Now, did they end up being bad to us? Yeah. Everybody except for Shanghai, by the way. China never went against, as far as I know, never went against us. But the rest of the countries did. They either tried to kill us or they put us into ghettos, or they did 1,000 different things that were bad, which is why they're probably punished. But, and they suffered such losses. But the bottom line is that we still owed them for taking us in. We would still owe them a debt of gratitude. That's all.
How long did we stay in Shanghai?
Say it again, please.
How long were there Jews in Shanghai?
Shanghai. So they had Jews from Shanghai from 30. Oh, they may still be Jews there, but it's 38 to 48.
Right, because they were
10
there
years.
from the war to the end of the war.
Yeah, 38 to 48.
Yeah, so I'm sure if they stuck around a little bit longer, they might have kicked us out.
The bottom line is they didn't.
Yeah.
So would they ultimately have? I cannot prognosticate to what they would have done.
It was so different from Europe. That's why that.
What happened when Shanghai, the story goes, my father's telling this story. He told me that.
Did he go through that way?
Yeah, he came through Shanghai. So he said the emperor, Hitler, Maximo went to the emperor. At that point, they had the emperor.
Oh,
China.
I know, but there's two emperors in that area.
we're talking about China.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. He went to the emperor in China and said, I want you to put a yellow star on the Jews so we can demarcate. So the emperor said, no, not going to do it. I'll put a star on myself. Okay. So Hitler said, why? He said, because you, Mr. Hitler, want an Aryan race. I'm not part of that race. So today it's the Jews. Tomorrow will be me. The answer is no. I won't do it. And he was lauded for that by the Jewish community. Again, my father's telling me the story. He was all of 10 years old.
Wow.
13 years old at that point.
Boy emperor.
Huh?
Boy emperor. That's the
No, my father.
No, wait. So
My father was a 13-year-old telling me the story. He was at 13 when approximately that happened.
Sharia had
The bottom line is, don't get caught up in the story, okay? The bottom line is the emperor was nice because he knew he was next on the docket. So it wasn't worth it to him. So would they ultimately have turned against the Jews? I don't know. I can't answer that. I hope they wouldn't have. I hope they would have maintained it. You can worry about who the emperor was, and you look at it in history.
I don't know, was it China or Japan? The story was the Germans said, you need to watch out for these people. They got all the doctors and the lawyers, the business. You can send us more. We need them here.
There you go. I don't know all those things that are right. Okay. I think that's more the Jewish humor gets kicked into that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on. So v'yikapsu kol ziknei Israel. So all the Bnei Israel gathered together. Now this is also interesting. It's not all of Israel. It's kol ziknei Israel. We're not talking about the rabble rousers here. We're talking about the leaders. By the way, we'll go to your question. What happened to all the shoftim?
Yeah.
Ziknei Israel right here. The elders of Israel right here. Vayavo el Shmuel Ramata, and they came to Shmuel to Ramah. They said, "Okay, Shmuel, we have to come." So they made the appointment. And Malbim says, "Kafiyam mavuar heirimu polishtim rosh be'edahi umashlu al Yisrael." So once again, the polishtim raise their heads, their hoary heads, and they start to rule over Israel. Tachat shayita yad shembam kol yimei Shmuel, in the place of that the hand of Hashem was on them all the days of Shmuel. Ki alidei avat hadin. Now we see that because of the corruption of justice, Shabbat Sor Charbam b'Milchama Kano Dominion Yehoshaphat, that now we have their swords come in war because of corruption of justice, like in this Yehoshaphat Sheka'asher Heikem HaMishpat Al Taloi Gesh Mipanav Oyev Yomer Hashmed, that on the fulfillment of the justice, that's why they could drive out their enemies. So now that they saw that this justice was being corrupted, they all left where they were and they assembled to Shmuel, right? Because they're afraid. We don't want the Pelishtim anymore. We've been down this road. We don't need it. It's going to be bad for us. So Vayomru Elav, and they said to him, Hinei ata zakanta. Behold, you're old. Okay. So and lo alchu b'drachecha, and they didn't. Uvanecha lo alchu b'drachecha, and your sons, they didn't go in their ways. They didn't go in your ways. So now, give us a king to judge us like all the other nations. Now,
Well, there hasn't been a king yet, has there?
okay. Again, so here we say, Hinei, Malbim says, Hinei, and they said to him, Hinei nochel nazigan haga me'ula me'itcha. From you, we had a great leader. But you're old, miyod ish, from being that man. And if you want to tell us your children are here, they're not going in your ways. So therefore, give us a king, appoint us a king. So it seems, by the way, just from that it was a good claim, right? It wasn't the rabble coming up. This is Ziknei Yisrael coming up, and they were saying, "We're afraid." According to Malbim, we're afraid.
So in other words, they saw no other, at this point, no other top judge that they felt could be the top leader of Israel at that point. Is that what they're saying? Nobody else was. Didn't pick it up.
They're saying two things. One is that we love you. Mm-hmm. We love you. We're afraid. We love you, Shmuel. We're afraid of what's happening because we know that the enemies, that our enemies will come into Israel and rule over us if justice is corrupted. Now, while you were going around, justice was being upheld, and Hashem's hands were against the enemies. We know that. But your sons aren't following your ways, and you appointed your sons. You appointed. We didn't elect. It's not an election here. Right. So you appointed them. But we have a problem because they're not acting properly. So how about you appoint a king for us to judge us?
Why didn't they say,
to judge us, by the way. The Shaftenu.
So how come they use the lotion of Melech? Or they're talking about king here all of a sudden? That's what's bothering.
Oh, so that could be a problem, and that is part of the problem because they can't say appoint us a judge to judge over us.
Why not?
Because
Who's the next best
who
guy?
makes a judge?
Oh,
God.
Hashem.
Again,
so
God's
they're-
one is they're coming to the judge to say, you passed it on to your kids, but your kids aren't doing what you did, and we're going to be in trouble. And so so appoint a king. Now again, all this story is Asima lanu melech l'shavtenu, a king to judge us like all the other nations.
yeah.
Now that's good. The Malbim is going to these guys know because they've been through it before, but there's a whole thing here. What do you mean to judge us? What is a king's job?
To rule. He
A
makes
king's job is
executive
to
decisions.
rule,
Yeah.
not to judge.
Yeah.
You're getting into the wrong.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
already making this guy
That's what's
track of
bothering
all trades.
Yeah.
Right? You're making him a monarchy. What are you doing here? The only one to judge is God. God's the only one to judge. God appoints his judges. Leave me alone. And why do you want to be like all the goyim?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why like all the goyim? So that's another question. Say sim lanu melech, sim lanu navi, sim lanu whatever you want, or Shmuel, or better still Shmuel, your kids aren't following your ways. This is our problem. This is what we say. What say you? You tell us what to do. Ask the Rabban Shalom what we should do. We want to do tshuva. We don't want to fall into the same trap every single 40 years. We're tired of the trap. We're tired of being that dribble on that wheel. So they could have said a lot of things, but what they do is say, no, Simlanu Melech, give us a king, l'shavtenu, to judge us. So take it out of your kids, take it away from them. You can't do it anyway. If you could, we would make you the king. By the way, what they said, George Washington, be our king. Right, George Washington. They said, be our king. I don't want to be your king.
Yeah.
We broke away from that.
Yeah.
Now you ask why king? Because there was so many kings around. That's a king. Again, the other part we always have to remember is that, as we learned in Shoftim, that whenever there was a war breaking out, the tribes had to get their own allies together to war with the marauder. So here, if I have a king, he has a standing army. Right?
Yeah.
What's the beautiful thing about the United States of America? I don't have to go into the war. We have an army to do that.
Yeah.
Okay? Mr. Trump, President Obama, President whomever says to the troops, you're going to go to blank and you're going to defend the democracy or what our standards are, whatever the case is going to be. And that army goes. I don't have to leave my farm or my shoal or anything else. The army is going. As long as I'm not part of the army, I'm happy.
But it used to be a draft.
That was the draft.
Yeah.
But right now, without the draft, we have selective. What's it called? Selective service. Okay, selective service. Is you're registering, blah blah blah, but you're not going. So those who want to go. That's their job.
Yeah, they still have to register.
You have to
in case of
register.
the draft,
18, you have to register.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a federal offense.
Yeah.
So, but my point is that even with that system, I know I didn't have to go at a certain age. So, and on top of that, I knew it would be taken care of. I knew my freedoms would be protected. Fine. So that's what they're asking here too. You make a king. The king will have the army. Leave me alone. I don't have to do this. He'll protect my things. He'll make sure the garbage is taken out on time and make sure the trains go on time too. Okay. And he'll judge us. He'll do everything. You know, the truth is, you look at these things, and it's basically what they say about the rabbi. They're the interviews for the rabbis. When you have the job description for the rabbi, you have to get along well with youth, get along well, be available always to bury the people, and be good with the seniors, and drive a Cadillac, and also drive a drunk box. Okay. He has to be Mashiach, basically. And now the women who are getting into the rabbinate, they have the same headaches. Okay. For all those conservative reform women out, and now you even have the open Orthodox, they'll find out pretty soon that really the rabbinate is not what it's cracked up to be, and what they thought. So, but let them find out on their own. But really, that's what it is. When you look at job descriptions and you see what they're asking, it's unbelievable. So that's what they're asking here. They want a king who's going to judge us like all the other nations. Okay, so by the way, they're throwing God out too.
Yeah, I'm scanning. I see the next few verses. I see what's going on next.
Right. So, but I'm just saying, from a few words, you can understand where we're going to go. Vayera hadavar b'nei Shmuel. So the matter was bad, evil, in the eyes of Shmuel. Why? And so as Rashi says, because they said to judge us like all the nations. Kashir Amru, when they said to not lanu melech shavtenu, give us a king to judge us. Ve'itpalel Shmuel el Hashem, but Shmuel doesn't answer. He davens to Hashem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what would have been the result? What could he have done right away? No. He could have said, "No, I'm not going to." This is basically, let's go to the board of directors. No, it's not what the board of directors are doing. You don't go to the board for every single stupid thing. So, he said, "You know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to say no. I'm going to ask the bunch. It's bad in my eyes because you're saying like the goyim, but I'm going to go to the bunch. Okay.
So he was hoping Hashem would come up with an answer.
He's right. He's saying, "Tell me what you want me to do." That's exactly what he's saying. Okay. So there's an extremely long malbim on this. Very, very long. Okay. How much time do we have? None. We'll have to start it next week. Okay, but there's this extremely long thing on this, and so we'll deal with it next week.
This is getting thick here.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is what's going to bring us down the road to what we've always ended up with. Okay, so we'll have to stop here.
Yeah.